What screams I peaked in high school, for me had a fearsome reputation. At house parties, people would fear him just by name alone. He would show up to parties with his cronies and start fights. He came from a decent enough family. Everybody wanted to be on his good side. Anyway, he graduates high school, and most of us were still in 12th grade. I remember he used to come around lunchtime to smoke with the people out front, shoot the breeze and talk about how much fun it is to just sleep in and do nothing and have all this freedom. A couple of months of OHHH cool. Tip, why are you still here? As we awkwardly shuffled back to class, I knew a guy who dropped out as a senior when I was a freshman, and throughout my entire high school career he was the dude who would show up to house parties and beat the shit out of people. Everyone knew who he was and was scared of him. I also recall seeing him brawl with dudes in the Taco Bell parking lot during lunch when he was, I dunno, 20. Many years later he resurfaced on Facebook with a face tattoo and a lot of posting about Jesus. He messaged one of my buddies out of the blue one day and apologized for punching him in the face like a decade earlier. A guy who graduated from my high school back in 2003 was arrested a few years ago for his second do it. He was wearing his Letterman jacket in his mugshot. I picked up some stuff at my parents' house when I was 25. One of those things is my Letterman's jacket. Put it and got in the car, had to stop for gas, who happens to be filling their car next to mine. My high school wrestling coach. I wonder how much of a loser he thought I was. I wasn't even that good. I was once hanging out at my sister's apartment. I was around 20 or so. Everything was fine, and then I just happened to sit in her chair, in which her cat just pissed. I am horrified since I have to take public transport right after that to go to class, I believe. I am hurrying to the train, smelling like fucking cat piss, drenching in my own sweat, red from the exercise because I had to run since I was late because of said cat piss incident. You'll never guess who I ran into at that very moment. My childhood crush. Ensue 30 to 45 seconds of awkward conversation where she asks me what I've become, while obviously checking my current terrible state and surely smelling the cat piss from me while I'm dying inside. I tell her I'm going to college, in a not so great college, and I believe it concluded with her saying something that nicely meant, "Oh, you're smart. I thought you would do better." This was 10 years ago and it is still a vivid memory. Edit, just to clarify, she was not being condescending or mean purposefully. She genuinely assumed that I would do great things because I had good grades, and I didn't do my best impression that day, so she had a comment that was not mean, but still on the lines of what I wrote. Edit to, wow, it looks like you enjoy my past suffering. I have so many childhood stories like that. Stay tuned. I am 27, and a 23-year-old guy I started a business with after university invited me to a party at his place not too long ago. I figured I might as well go. Turns out the party was full of 18 and 19-year-olds, and I felt so goddamn out of place. It also made me realize how boring teenagers at a party are. It's like they are the same person who only recently started trying to get a personality. I swear, 90% of all the conversations there were along the lines of one time I drank X brand of alcohol and Y thing happened because I was so drunk. Absolutely never doing that again. We used to play indoor floor hockey in a loft room in the big gym of my middle school. One game I scored 3 goals, one of them being a bank shot off the wall. The next year I wrote about the game for an assignment in English class and the teacher read it to the class the next day. I'm not sure which one was my peak. Billy Joel feels compelled to write a ballad about how you and your ex were the king and the queen of the prom, how the two of you married right after high school, and how it all went to hell from there. Bonus points if your names happen to be Brenda and Eddie. As someone who recently graduated, the students who returned to the school every time they came home from school just so people would pay attention to them. Also not sure how to explain it, but the people who now posts blank screens and just text on their Snapchat stories that just say things like always crazy to see who you can really trust when this happens, or surprising to see who really cares about you when you need friends the most. Like I said, I don't know how to explain it, but there's definitely a correlation. I taught at UHS in the US for exactly 1 year. During that year, some guy who had graduated a year or so prior came back to visit about 3 or 4 times. This douche just rolled into the school and would pop into classes to say hi to teachers and students in the middle of lessons. I have no idea why, but for some reason he was walking around barefoot too. He tried that shit in my class and I asked him promptly to leave, to which he said to me, "Oh, you're new here and don't understand that I'm sort of a legend around here, so people like to see me come by." Yeah, I kicked the legend the fuck out and promptly advised my students to move on with their lives after they were finished with high school. I knew a girl in college who tried to do the same crap as the other guy I just mentioned, but her old school wouldn't allow her and her friends to even enter the building. She was really pissed about it and commented, "How can they do that? We ran that school." That was the saddest thing I had ever heard someone say. Sometimes my state championship in swimming comes up in conversation. Did I peak in high school? Oh Lord. My whole life flashing before my eyes. Edit. A lot of the comments y'all made cracked me up. Thanks. Def did not peak in high school. Was a geeky, timid girl with like 2 friends, and ended up being good at one thing. I'm actually pretty cool now, you know, if someone wants to talk to me. Anyone. I won't bring up the swimming thing, promise. I have dog pics. Some of the popular girls from high school still get together very frequently, and you see updates of it on Facebook. I also keep in touch with some friends from high school, and I think that's nice. However, one of those friends of mine once ran into them during one of their get-together. He said hi and happened to be sitting not too far from them at the bar. He said that all they did for the whole night was talk about high school. They looked up old classmates on Facebook, laughed at them, called them names, looked at their spouses and called them names too. They still thought themselves the popular kids, as if they still had some sort of influence on all these people. Everyone has moved on, done interesting things in their life except for them. They're just rehashing old drama and old rumors. One of those girls had a small bit of success as a photographer in high school. She won a couple contests that were aimed at teenagers and her photos aren't bad. Her parents turned this into a very big deal. Her friends all wanted to be in her photos, and she was dead set on going to art school and getting the recognition she deserved. I don't know if she never made it into art school or if she dropped out, but she definitely did not become a photographer. Instead, you see her launching some new startup business selling asinine live laugh love shit about once a year. I went to school with a girl whose parents graduated from our high school 20 years prior. All 4 members of their family got the school's logo tattooed. Her boyfriend still goes to the football games and reposts his game highlights on Instagram. We're all 21 to 22. I'm from New Mexico and live in the largest city in the state. We've never had a good HS football team, and the BF usually goes to pick up underage girls and brags to everyone about how he was the star football player. If someone from another team makes a really good play, he'll make some kind of remark about how he could have done it better, or he'll go into a detail about his JV football experience. When I was in high school, the cool kids partied hard. They'd get blackout drunk and used whatever illegal substances they can get. I was looking through the profiles of some of those classmates, and a few of them are still doing the same shit. Talking gangsta shit despite growing up in a middle-class suburb. Talking about how they miss their kids who are in CPS custody because they went to jail for using. Going on rants about narcs, etc. They're about 27 or 28. What made you cool in high school makes you a loser as a grown-ass adult, especially when you're a parent. I have a good one for this. My cousin once dragged me out to a local bar that I don't particularly care for due to its reputation. But I was going through a separation and figured I could use a night out. The guy comes up to me, clearly already drunk, and belligerently declares, "I've never seen you in here before." I replied, "That's because I've never been in here before." Him: "Well, I'm just saying I've never seen you here before." Me: "Okay." Him: "I'm John. I used to play football at the school up the road." You know the school just up the road? Up on the hill. Me: "Yes, I know the school. I went to the same school." Him: "Yeah, I played football there." Me: "Good for you." Him: "I don't remember you from school." Me: "I don't imagine you do." Him: "Well, I'm just saying, I played football there and I don't remember you." Me: